Hey guys, it's Amy, and before you comment nasty things about my mother, I'm not trying to say that Australian books are the most important books in the world. That is the complete opposite to the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make in this video, I'll just let you know now, is that it is important for people to be able to read books about people who are experiencing similar things, similar cultures to their own. It's great to read about different countries and different experiences of life in those countries, and that's why books from every country are important. That diversity within books is incredibly important. I don't know about you, but most of the books I've read, especially YA, are set in America or Britain, in some area of those places. Very few of the books I've actually read are set in Australia. And as an Australian teenager, my experience of life is so different to the experiences of, American people from Ohio who are about to go off to college for the first time or want to become a cheerleader or something like that. Or it's very different to, someone sent off to a boarding school in Scotland because their parents are magical and they're magical. Like, it's very different sort of experiences that come with the cultures of those countries. So, it's good to read books about people whose experiences are different to your own. And we need more diverse books, but I think the main reason we need more diverse books, about people from different religions, different sexualities, different identities and countries, is because people need books about people who are going through the similar things that they are going through. I think that is the main reason why it's important to have diverse books. And, I have only recently started actively pursuing books that are set in Australia or are by Australian authors because of this reason. I want to read stories about people like me. And I'm also trying to read books that are about people different to me. So, I recently read a superhero LGBT plus book novella, and that was an active decision to read books about people who are different to me. And I've also been actively pursuing books about people who are similar to me or experiencing things in my country. So I'm just going to go through a list of reasons why I think I should read more books set in Australia, and why I think you should read more books set in Australia or countries that are different to your own. So for someone who is in the country where the book is set, one of the big things is that it creates a sort of national pride. I've noticed that people from America have a great sense of patriotism, and I think part of that stems from the fact that they have such an amazing entertainment industry that they are constantly surrounded by images from their own country. In Australia, that's not the case. Most of our television shows and movies are from overseas, and it's the same case with our books and our music and everything we're surrounding ourselves by. So it sort of feels like Australia is not that great. But I love my country, and reading books about people in my own country are, they stimulate that sense of pride. I go, yeah, that is a similar experience to me, or I didn't know that about my own country. And it not only informs you, but it makes you proud of your country. And following on from that, it brings to your awareness new experiences of people that are in the same country as you. It brings forward issues that you weren't aware of because of your experience of the country. And it makes you understand other people's experiences of the same culture. It also stimulates a sense of national wanderlust. There's a lot of American road trip books, and I love those, but I love also reading about books set in Australia, places that I can go, in a car. And one in particular, Stolen by Lucy Christopher, not necessarily an Australian book, not by an Australian author. The main character is an Australian, but it's set in Australia, and it described the landscape of Australia so beautifully that I just had this massive urge to just go explore my own country, which I'd never had before. I always thought Australia was just, boring, there's a beach, oh, so great. But it actually made me realise there's so much more to my country that I haven't seen, and made me want to go see it. And another really important thing is that it addresses issues that are particular to that culture. There are a lot of issues in Australia which aren't issues in other countries. A lot of them are similar, but the main issue that I've noticed in Australian YA especially, is the issue of identity within Australia and how that sort of melds with multiculturalism and how that works. And that's something that I think is really specific to Australia, because I think we have one of the most diverse populations in the world, and I think that's really important for me to read about that, because as a white Australian, I don't have that problem, because most of the identity splashed across the media pertains to me, a white Australian who has, you know, been here for several generations. But some of the books I've read have really opened my eyes to the issues of, you know, first or second generation Australians, which is, I think, a very important thing for me to be aware of, especially because I'm surrounded by people like this every day, and, you know, to have an awareness of what your peers are going through, I think is really important. Okay, now I'll go through some of the things that I think you should keep in mind if you live outside of Australia or outside of a country where a book is set. The main thing for people living outside of Australia is that it goes beyond the stereotypes. You know, most Australian stereotypes and what we present as a country is, you know, beaches, Hugh Jackman, knives, crocodiles, really tan skin, blonde hair, bikinis. But that isn't the experience of most Australians, and it's very Anglo-centric as well. And so the thing I love about the Australian books I've read is that it really goes beyond those stereotypes and sort of explores what our country really is like. And I think that's important for people outside the country to be aware of and to, you know, inform themselves of. That didn't make sense, but we'll keep going. Another thing is that it encourages interest and tourism. If you read a book about a country that you've never heard of or never had any interest to travel to, you might be surprised and go, actually, that country sounds really interesting. There are some places that I would like to go see in that country, and it sort of encourages that. So I think it's important that we popularise books from countries other than the UK and from America, because, you know, it encourages that sense of international wanderlust. And the last thing is, which I think is true for both Australians and non-Australians, or nationals and international people, is that reading books about either your own country or another country really stimulates an awareness, especially of the similarities between humanity. You know, I had a girl ask me when I was her pen pal, keep in mind we were 11, she asked me if I went to school.